So before that, to introduce the resource person, I welcome Father Elias.
A very good morning to all, respected dignitaries, Mr. Ravi Mohan sir, Mr. Raji Koshi Daniel sir, faculties from the various departments, and also employees from ISAF Bank in Kalamassery branch, and my dear students. Today it's my privilege to introduce and welcome our resource person, Mr. Raji Koshi Daniel. Now he is Vice President and Head the Sustainable Banking of ISAF, the Small Finance Bank. ISAF was established in 2017 and is currently having operations in 25 states in India, with over 7 million normal people as the primary customers. The St. Paul's College have a good relationship with the ISAF Bank because we have signed an MOU in 2018. Our students have done internship in ISAF Bank in various branches in Kerala. Our resource person register oversees the financial inclusion, ESG and CSR, corporate social responsibility segments of the bank. He's graduated in mechanical engineering and a postgraduate in public policy management, Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. And also he has experience of 3 decades spans from manufacturing, development and banking sector. He's also serving as convener, Sustainability and Clean Kerala panel of the Confederation of Indian Industries, Kerala State Council. I would like to welcome Mr. Raji Koshi Daniel for conducting another fruitful session. Thank you for all the students and all the faculties. Thank you, sir. Kindly welcome, sir, for introducing, for doing the next session. Welcome.
Respected Ravi Mohan sir, Professor Ranjita, other teachers, Father Elias, students of BVOC and MA Economics, as well as MCOM students, right? Since we had quite a lot of lecture, I was feeling that I'll take the podium down and we'll have I can overcome the auditorium syndrome and talk to you. So this session I want to make it more interactive. Thank you for certain questions. I consider it a privilege to talk to you as to students on this Teachers' Day, because as Ravi Mohan sir started his career as a professor in a college, I always used to think that, I should also get such kind of a privilege in life. But I keep talking to students from the industry perspective very often. So I prefer an interactive session. In this session, I would like to cover financial inclusion and sustainable banking as a mitigation measure for the risks. Not completely mitigating, but at least some amount of mitigation of risk. So how many of you have very carefully listened to Ravi Mohan sir's session, and what are the different kinds of risks which you have noted down by the definition? A few answers, please. Pardon? Operational risk, liquidity risk, credit risk, Pardon? Market risk. Emerging risk, of course, it is a category of, the traditional risk and the emerging risk. And two categories Ravi Mohan sir has brought in very beautifully. Pardon? ESG risk. In that specifically, did he mention anything? Climate risk. Good. At least this side I got a lot of answer. This I didn't get any answer from this side. What is happening to this side? Any answers from this side? Come on. And this is an amphitheater where your sound also get amplified. So which Roy is talking to themselves, we get a clear picture. Okay. I want you to think deeply as BVOC students specifically. It is Bachelor of Vocations, isn't it? And that too into banking and finance sector. Mostly you are from the BVOC sector. And even economics at large students are there. From your readings, what is the most risk of our times? Your suggestions. And if you can quote something from, of course, that was your first question. But I want to throw it back to you. And if you want to quote some sources, you can do that. Biggest risk of our time in the market. I want at least two answers. In your opinion, biggest risk. And if you can quote from some sources, that is also good. Such and such source say that this is the highest risk of our times. Which is that risk? What all are those risks? Yes?
Lack of promotion to the available options for the securities and investment opportunities.
Lack of promotion. Yeah. So, or rather awareness or education to various options available is one of the risks. Okay. What is influencing our business and the markets today? As risks, which is gripping our market. What is happening to our market? We all are going to graduate and go to various, segments. Majority of you in banking and finance segment. What are the risks you are going to handle as you see today? Because BVOC also do have industry, immersion. So a few months you have already spent in the industry. What is gripping the market in terms of the risks today? Okay, I'm sorry that no answer has come. Look at this picture. The top global risks as published by World Economic Forum, WEF, 2024. It shows the biggest risk of our time is extreme weather, climate risk. Second, that is 66% of all our activities. 66% of all our businesses. May it be small or big, it is influenced by extreme weather. First among the top global risks as published by World Economic Forum. Every year they publish this. Second biggest risk is AI generated misinformation and disinformation. Okay. Third biggest risk, geopolitical risk, polarizations. And fourth biggest risk, cost of living crisis. This is a way risks as per World Economic Forum when they announce it. In other words, 2 in every 3 businesses today is being hit by climate risks or extreme weather. You can imagine this very well. Like what is happening to areas where flood is happening. There, days together, the business is affected. Days together, our national capital every year closes. Which season? Which month? January, when the fog take over. Or it's not this fog, it is smog. Okay, days together, schools are closed, but they will not be able to enjoy because they go out and breathe that. It will be very difficult to live inside. It's very, very suffocating, even to our national capital. So, it is how many days you can count, in many of the, and only during that season there will be a kind of a discussion about why this smoke comes and from where it is coming. But anyway, extreme weather and climate risk is now classified as the biggest risk of our times. Second is AI. In fact, that is both these aspects have been well covered in when Ravi Mohan sir classified the risk. This also comes under ESG risk, etc. Second biggest risk in this is this misinformation and disinformation, fraudsters and so many things, and the terrorism activities, financing, all those things. It is not just AI generated, but information security when it lapses. Quite a lot of emphasis has been given to AI generated or misinformation and disinformation, and even IT risk. Every bank do have a CISO, Chiefs Information Security Officer, etc. But when it comes to climate risk, that kind of an emergency is not felt by the industry yet. Though we feel it in the actual when we go out and walk around. Do you see climate risk while you walk around? Come on. Are you feeling it? Examples in Kerala? What do you think about Wayanad? Is it because of extreme weather? Partly because of that. But I would like to give a quote from someone on Wayanad as I progress further. So, every year, if you think, this transition has happened between 2010 and 2020, this climate risk becoming the biggest risk. If you look at this WEF classification of risk, 2010 it was asset price collapse is the biggest risk. But by the time 2020 came in, it was climate action failures. But 2021, the biggest risk was infectious diseases because of the COVID impact. But again, after the COVID thing, which world, as I would say, with all our limitations, we handled it well. That's why we are back into classrooms and the business is almost back to normal. But again, the biggest risk is extreme weather. This has been in discussion for years. In 1990s, there was a book published where they are progressing, but as cannibals with forks. Advancement is there, but socially we are becoming something else. In this book, John Elkington has written a terminology he has used as triple bottom line. That is, we should be doing not just financial bottom line as our aim, but also social bottom line as well as planet bottom line. So that is the TBL concept promoted during the 1990s. 10 years later, ESG was formally, became a terminology used, and there is a beautiful book. These are books which you can pick up and read. Who Cares Wins. In that book only the ESG acronym of environment, social governance, which I'll also cover a little more. This is 2010s, but 2000s, actually 2004 it was released. Whereas 2016 there is another children activist has written a beautiful book, Last Child in the Woods, Saving Our Children from Nature Deficit Disorder. Okay, these are books which you should pick up and read, which will prepare you to, based on this theme of this conference, illuminate for a good future. What is the theme of this conference? Illuminate the way forward or path forward. If you want to have light for the future, I think this is something that is very important. Now, coming back to this climate risk as a context, this is what Devashish Chatterjee, who is Devashish Chatterjee? Is our director of IIM Kozhikode. An interesting personality. He's not a Malayali. But when he was observing this Wayanad conflict very near to his place, he made a very, very, noticeable statement, mind-boggling statement. Loss of over 400 precious lives in Wayanad. Okay, of course, now it is more than 600. official. He wrote when it was 400 official. Was a grave climate calamity, but that is a lie. The truth is that it is a politically vetted, commercially exploited, environmentally unsustainable, man-made disaster. This is what he said. These are the issues which I would like to say that institutions like you should debate. Why it has happened? Could there be alternate ways of development, alternate ways of consideration? That's how industry can be supplemented by the academia. You should discuss about why it has happened and how it has happened. Anyway, coming back to financial inclusion and ESG and sustainable banking, I would like to say that in this context which I have mentioned of the global risk into climate and social risk, the fourth in the major risk is cost of living crisis. How poverty can be alleviated, how decent livelihoods can come. I have only mentioned about first two risks actually in the global. So in this world of risk, ISAF came in with a vision statement which is quite different from the vision statements of other banks or other business houses. ISAF bank vision statement says to be India's leading social bank that offers equal opportunity to the whole society through universal access and financial deepening, and thus providing financial inclusion, livelihoods, and economic development as a whole. Sometimes in the academic world, we think it is, the world is full of competition, and then we have to somehow prepare ourselves to face that and drive our way through. Those are realities, no doubt about it. But the world itself is now changing to the risk, which I have presented in the first few slides. In that context, we were carving out a vision. Our founder, Paul Sir, he founded a foundation first, a NGO first, and it is an NGO which started a bank. So when an NGO started a bank, he developed a terminology called a social bank. Social work is addressing social issues through work, isn't it? If your work is addressing social issues, it will be a social work. Like that, a banking that will address social issues. That is the way it is conceived. So in that vision statement itself, financial inclusion is one of our vision. Financial inclusion Now I would like to ask you the question for your understanding. Let me map your understanding. What is financial inclusion in your thinking? You can also look at the picture and suggest some, because it's a real picture of a village and banking there. What is financial inclusion? It can be crude, uninformed definitions also. From your thinking, what could be the idea called financial inclusion? Yes.
Introducing banking and financial services to every person around the world, like everywhere.
Yes.
The financial services are now available.
Yes. Introducing banking, financial services to every part, the remotest part. So you have chosen banking and finances as a major topic. That's why you said about financial inclusion is more with banking. But it is more generic. Technology has to reach, financial technologies also has to reach the rural. But this is how a banking officer of our ISAF bank reaching and doing the iris scan for KYC complaints. Are you getting me? Which means that a very remote area, fintech services, and even the technology is used to map the identity of the person. Aadhaar is linked with iris and other things which you may be knowing. So financial inclusion, from this picture, you find it is happening to a woman, isn't it? Financial inclusion is also about gender inclusion. Men and women having the finances and financial resilience. Now let me go to the RBI or Government of India website on financial inclusion. Financial inclusion is an important priority of the government. The objective of the financial inclusion is to extend financial services to large, unserved and underserved population of the country, unlock their growth potential. Okay, going to places where there is no bank, no banking services, and so financial inclusion as a national priority for an inclusive society. The government's definition is so beautifully written that to unlock the growth potential of the country. And I tell you, as a small finance bank, we have 25% as a mandate from RBI. We have to be having 25% of our branches from the unbanked and underbanked areas, but we are at 33%. Oh, government is telling 25. Why we are going to 25? It is not because it is not because of any other reason, because financial inclusion is also important, but it's also there is a synergy. These are areas where bank is also performing well, unbanked and underbanked areas where there is no much competition. Let me ask you a question as economic students as well as banking students. What percentage of Indians do have banking account? Some of you are finding good rest in a restless world. I want to wake you up with this question. What percentage of Indians do have banking account? You can Google search. Some of you are using your mobiles. Please Google search. What percentage of Indians do have banking accounts? Come on. Officially permitted, use your mobile. Okay. 78%, you are right. Please do use this. Which means that 22% Indians are still not reached with a banking account. I'm not coming to the 78%, how many are really using the banking account. So you have selected an area where there is a lot of untapped potential for growth. Banking do have a future, because we have to reach at least 90%, means another 12% to be reached with basic bank accounts. In 2011, as per our statistics of Statista, we were only at 44% of Indians having banking account. In that also, 44% of men having banking account and only 26% women had banking accounts. But today we can be proud that we are one of the countries which has driven a transition through financial inclusion, that 78% of Indians do have banking accounts. And it is there also, I mentioned about social inclusion, include gender inclusion. It is 78% men in India as well as 78% women in India. It's very beautiful that 78% men, 78% women. Now, don't talk about the quality of this bank account is not, it is not covered here. How many of the bank account do have zero minimum balance level and it is dead accounts and all those things? You can further research and find out. Okay, 75. So which means that 22% Indians. I'm talking about people above 15 years of age in this. Okay. Also, if you look at this graph available from the Global Findex database, we are also growing as a country wherein 78% of the richest 60% and the poorest 40% is at 70%. It is not that a bad data as of now, as far as financial inclusion is concerned. Whether they have money or not is the next step. The richest Indians do have 90% of the wealth, and all those statistics we already have. But at least in terms of the infrastructure required to receive and transact on wealth, the rich and the poor divide is also bridging. I believe that in very near future, if this graph about richest 60 versus poorest 40 will change richest 90 versus poorest, in also segment, we grow to equality. So That is the status of financial inclusion as a measure for social inclusion in our country. Are you following me? Okay. So, financial inclusion at ISAF Bank, we give a lot of importance for technology technology to reach to the last mile. So that's why I've used this picture with the equipments that were required for doorstep verification of their identity. We serve the country. It is not that they have to go to a bank 10 times to get a banking account open. So technology, some of you asked the question AI and other things, how it is being applied. You can see this is not AI application, but at least technology application. Technology, you often find it very difficult. It's shy away from reaching the rural areas, right? If you want to see that happen, the technological advancements of our times, reaching the rural areas, that is a measure for social inclusion. We make it happen. We also do a lot of financial education. Financial inclusion will not be very, it's not an accident. Do a lot of financial education that is required. This is a chart of financial inclusion programs we conducted as a bank. Last year, about 10 lakh people across 25 states, though, received training on financial inclusion by ISAF Bank. We have a program called Dhanshri, which is on ordinary women entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs, which is in rural area. In fact, we have about 70 lakh customers, of which 85% is women from all walks of life. So training for them, around more than 1,000 trainings. And then Vayojyoti, last week it was senior citizens, reaching out to them with they're educated, but sometimes financially illiterate, how to use an ATM card, how to use this, how to, safely transact in the digitized world. So that was the focus last week. Around 600 branches has conducted programs for the senior. So that is another financial inclusion measure. We have another financial inclusion segment for children. Last year also, around 400 of our branches conducted large-scale programs. Like that, a series of programs. You can have a few glimpses. This is how people flock in our branches, in rural branches specifically, and have Dhanshri programs and Balajodi programs where recently IIM Kozhikode and we are doing an impact study on whether these training programs are really maturing it as saving habits among children. In the randomized control trial method, RCT method, propounded by Nobel Prize winner the Esther Duflo. That same method we are using, and 48 schools we are doing a study whether our syllabus is doing exactly giving the impact on financial. So such kind of studies, if you are wanting to involve, we are welcome to join us as interns. We can talk about it as opportunity with your professors. We also do have a lot of financial inclusion for the Gershom community, we call, that is migrant laborers. So the marginalized, we have financial inclusion projects for hearing impaired. Can you imagine? Here in the picture, you can see this, the students there in the class were raising their hands. You know why they're raising their hands? That's the way they clap. Because they can't speak, they can't hear. So how they express in the sign language they are happy is like this. First time when I address a similar this thing, in fact, my senior colleague George Thomas sir was giving the lecture and I was supposed to take the next session. In George Thomas sir's session itself, students started doing like this. And then he stopped and said that, why they are doing this? Sir, they are clapping hands because they can't hear. Of course, someone was talking and someone was translating in sign language. That's how we did it. And we have a video, we have a sign language material reaching out to the differently abled. This is one picture where we are handing over that CD to the regional director of RBI, because when she came to know about it, she wanted to have a discussion about it. How, yeah. So, but by the way, we have made this financial inclusion effort. It's also a social inclusion effort to BCom students. Of course, hearing impaired community also can have BCom studies, BCom and BSc IT studies. We, from this class, we have employed two people. They are doing very well in the class in our bank for the last 4 years. They were part of us in the class, and then later they became employees of our organization. So special projects like micro ATM is another way of we are reaching out for financial inclusion. Micro ATM is almost like micro bank. We also do have a financial inclusion effort for the local self-governments. Government of Kerala has asked us 2-3 years ago to conduct financial literacy programs for the elected members of the panchayats. So 200 panchayats with this local sustainable economic development handbook, we have conducted programs. That's how. So a variety of financial inclusion effort to different segments of society. Maybe children, maybe migrant laborers, maybe women, micro entrepreneurs in the rural areas. We have specialized syllabuses for them. And we conduct those training seminars and take them through a journey. Now, this is what I wanted to talk about, the financial inclusion framework in ISAF. Financial inclusion is important for social inclusion. That's why we. Now, quickly, within the next 5 to 10 minutes, or rather 5 minutes, I'll take through ESG journey or sustainability, a bird's eye view. ESG stands for environment, social governance. In the sense, a governance which will be accounting for the risks in the environment. Our business should not create any kind of environmental risk. Is work under a kind of a idea called, capitals. We always talk about financial capital, and we have a GDP that is going up and up and up and on and on and on, right? In every country, including our country, most of our countries, GDP is up in the financial capital. But how about the environmental capital, the natural resources of that country? Is it going up and up and up and on and on and on? It is the other way, isn't it? What about the social capital? Social capital is a measure of the skill levels, and there are different ways in which these are getting. So a comprehensive measurement of governance, or a comprehensive measurement of a country's progress is when environmental capital, social capital and financial capital, all these things are measured together, and that's the effort by the leading communities on ESG. So governance has to change. Ravi Mohan sir has mentioned in very beautifully what people measure in E, S and G. There is, I recommend another book, How ESG Can Benefit Your Business. The book written by Mukund Rajan, former Chief Sustainability Officer of Tata Group. Outlast. Business or life, if it has to outlast our times, I think we need to turn to ESG way of working. We will not deplete the environmental capital to increase the financial capital and seeing it collapsing. Are you getting me? Because financial capital also can stand only if the planet sustains, isn't it? So that is why so one way of measuring is E in ESG encapsulates the natural resources of a business that a business consumes. This is a definition given by Mukund Rajan. I liked it. That is emission, how it is being measured and other things. That E. S is, as I mentioned, social capital I already mentioned. G is the governance structure. ESG has been there in the DNA of the ISAF Bank. I was wanting to give a narrative about it, but I wanted to quote my founder in this. I chose business. He said, our founder, I chose business as a tool to resolve social issues. Business not just for making profits, but I chose business as a tool to resolve social issues. By the way, if social issues are resolved, what will happen to the business? We don't think that way usually. If social issues are resolved, business also will boom along with the resolution of it. That's the path of synergy. of social, environmental, and financial gain. It is envisaged in ESG kind of work style, and that has been there in the DNA of ISAF. ISAF Bank, I also was wanting to talk something about it. 92 we started as a foundation, and 2017 we became a bank. It is now a group of social enterprises. When I say social enterprises, a business idea to resolve social issues as well. That is the idea of social enterprises. These are the things which you should discuss in your open discussion about what is a social enterprise and that kind of a thing, if resources are available from our side about it. Now, ISAF reaches to close to 70 lakh customers. Most of them, 80% of it, 85% of them is women entrepreneur. Now, when I said about ESG, the first section is ESG have to have policies in place in the system. We have our CSR policy, sustainable banking policy. I remember Ravi Mohan sir's very first board meeting. In that board meeting, only sustainable banking policy was adopted, sir, if you may remember. So that's how I remember Ravi Mohan sir asking about, SDG, how we are going to link. So we are committed to SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. And there is a sustainable banking policy. Like that, there is an ESG policy. And then an ESG governance structure at the bank. We are a bank with an ESG governance structure, board members with ESG competence, and there is a CSR and sustainability committee of the board. Under that is a ESG management committee, and under that there is a sustainability council and all those things. So ESG is very important in the bank. So policies and structure is very important when you are important. Then if that is the polarity of the bank, or policies and structures of the bank, it has to get materialized also. That is known as the ESG materiality. How do we do that? We have a lot of products that creates environmental value. Environmental resilience, I would like to say. Building environmental capital through clean energy loans, Go Green vehicle loans, farmer connects with climate smart agriculture, and then promoting agri loans for such kind of a thing. So a lot of products are geared to give environmental benefits. At least it will not deplete the environmental capital. So at ISAF, climate action is not just about addressing the threats of development, but it is also emphatically about opportunity to develop as well. We consider clean energy as a very important segment. We have a business plan for growth, and we also have a business plan and a social plan that, yes, India should come to energy security through clean energy loans. Can you get me? So the more we sell, the more social impact. The more we sell, the more environmental impact also. A similar way, we have a set of products which is aiding the social inclusion. Environmental inclusion is a set of products like that. So building social capital through farmer interest group loans, then income generation loans, micro entrepreneurs. So at ISAF Small Finance Bank, as a social bank, building social capital and financial resilience at the weaker sections of the society is a priority. So running so many loans at small amount, but our NPAs, even while we are lending to non-collateral segment, is not as bad as of the big banks which is having bigger problems in NPA. We are a small finance bank. We have problems on NPA, but big banks do have bigger problems with NPA with their big customers. We have small issues in NPA because we have to take the community loan, and there's challenges and all. But that's a journey. You can refer our annual reports, sustainability reports and all. You will find that our financial health is very commendable. We also do have an ESG roadmap. In 4 years' time, we will reach this kind of goals. You know what kind of goals? 10 million, SDG impacts. direct beneficiaries of SDG impacts, or 1 million JLGs, 5 million farmers in our community, customer community. Like that is our ESG roadmap, with which, and we also do have a good disclosure formats. Like, some of you are very interested, can pick up last year's sustainability report for me and our annual report. Ravi Mohan had mentioned about ESG something, not just credit rating. Now ESG also is getting rated. If a bank or an institution is doing well, can be mentioned through the blood chemistry report, blood chemistry report, cholesterol and all those things like that. We have ESG rating, how social inclusion the bank is in. So last year when we were we were rated against the industry average of 59 out of 100, we were at 71. Okay. So, and also we were classified best in industry for green finance, infrastructure, health and safety, product safety and quality, opportunities for inclusion, all those areas. These are elements wherein we have scored very high. This is how a rating card, they measure about whether the bank is giving opportunities for green finance. What is green finance? Ravi Mohan sir has mentioned about greenwashing also. I was not one, some people say that, say something and do something else in green area, that is greenwashing. But I would like to say, everybody do have a true color. This institution, how much emitting it is doing, or as people, how much of carbon footprint we are leaving. If that can be termed as our true color, we can imagine we can change our color more to green. This institution, if it is relying more on solar and renewable energy for its running, it will not be producing that, it will not be consuming so much of carbon and leaving climate risk. So, opportunity for green finance. So, greening the finance sector. There is a network called Network for Greening the Finance Sector, which RBI has joined internationally, which we are supporting. And we are also, as a bank, we are members of a alliance called Global Alliance on Banking on Values. We all talk about ESG as important and value-based banking important. So that's how in the first session you have had risk, a world full of risk, and this is our baby steps of mitigating through inclusion efforts as well as ESG risk mitigation through various products and services. So this is what I would like to sum up with. A few questions, and then we can. Any questions? Yeah, anyone can raise up and ask till the mic reaches you.
Hello, does anyone have any questions? Please raise your questions now. ആർക്കെങ്കിലും എന്തെങ്കിലും ചോദിക്കാൻ ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ടോ? Sir, actually I have doubts.
Yes.
So you said the future we have a very big potential for banking sector.
Yeah.
But actually, due to the development of technology and AI nowadays, is it really required to have physical infrastructure for banking services nowadays? So that will be actually reducing the opportunity in the sector, right?
Yeah.
So that is my question, whether it's not about financial inclusion, we can widen the financial inclusion factor, but using the UPI, nowadays no people uses any card also, they are not using nowadays. UPI is very more convenient and easier way. So, no one usually go to the bank also.
Yeah.
That is why I'm asking the same question. That is.
So, do we require still more people in banking? That's what you are looking at.
Is there any potential for students to study all this and get employed?
Yeah. See, India, in my view, will continue to be a world of opportunities for rural and urban and digitized and not so digitized. Today morning I was mentioning to someone that I know a retired commerce professor who also served as a principal of another college later, 65-year-old. He says, showing his ATM card, he says that I will never use an ATM card. Commerce professor. He said, I am afraid of using it. How does he do the banking? He said, I like to go to the branch and talk over a cup of tea. I still remember those days, going with my dad to, have a conversation with the branch manager. That generation still like that. After all, we are social beings, no? Correct, no? So banking will continue to require branches where discussions will take place. Now, as you might have seen that how technology can make it easier for them to handle, we are doing it. That's why best of services, it is reaching the rural areas through it. And we have, ISAF Bank has got an international award on financial inclusion through technology adaptation. That's why I have those pictures. Rural areas, how they can be onboarded as fast as possible as a customer. Okay, and we also do have a client journey mapping mechanism wherein when they are starting with very low income levels and this thing, when they are growing, how. So every year we publish joyful stories of transformation. So in this, as a book, so in this we find people who are in different stages of life, who require branches or who are in digitized world. So it will continue to be there. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, but Ravi Mohan sir will be able to tell you.
I will also add to what Reggie said and what Ranjita asked. So we know that maybe the traditional way of banking, you write a check and go to a bank and withdraw cash, that may come down. Because you may use ATM, you may use whatever UPI, etc. But in the banks, you require a lot of people to work on this at the back office, processing, risk management, and all. Maybe the number of people who are in a branch to encash your check or to give you cash, that particular routine type of jobs may come down. But as banking is becoming more complex, there will be more need for risk managers. Because new risks come. There may be a lot of people who should manage climate risk in a bank. So these people are cyber risk, anti-money laundering type of risk. So this risk management and related things, there will be a lot of requirement. So as banking has evolved, similarly the new type of technology comes, the new type of requirement also will increase. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Now.
Any questions from any students?
Any more questions you have?
What is a lunchtime is a question.
That's all. Have any question? So I guess you don't have any questions. You are all thorough with the session.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your interactive and interesting session. So now we are going to start for the vote of thanks session by the Father Elias P. George. So I welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. I would like to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks to our resource person, Mr. Reggie Koshi Daniel sir, for leading a highly informative and engaging seminar on climate risk, financial inclusion, social inclusion, and ESG. Your expertise and insights have greatly enriched our understanding of these significant topics in banking sector, and we appreciate the time and effort you took to share your knowledge with us. Please accept our sincere gratitude for your contribution to this international seminar. We are grateful for your leadership and expertise, and we look forward to future opportunities to learn from you. Thank you once again, Evi Mohan sir, and also Reggie sir, for giving interesting, informative, and a fruitful session and accepting our invitation. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And once again, thank you all the faculties from various departments, especially commerce department and other faculties and our students. Once again, thanks to all the participants. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Reggie sir, as a token of love, we will love to hand over a memento, so please come to the stage. And I invite the coordinators of Fincom, CSL and BOF Banking to hand over the memento. Let's give a great round of applause.